Well, we're ready to go. First night just outside Hope and stopping along the way. Came over from Nanaimo a couple of days ago. Feels overpacked, but packing for 5 days doesn't seem to be too much off from packing from 3. So we'll be checking in along the way. It's going to be hot, maybe cooling down over the next day or two. We'll be touching base later. Well, here we are at Westminster Abbey, our first stop. Well, here we have the viewpoint. As you can see, it's quite a nice look over the valley and Mission down below. I usually try and stop out here whenever I get out this way, which isn't terribly often, but Got a nice viewpoint, and the Abbey, if it's open, is pretty quiet and nice to just check out. See if it's open when we get by. If not, I may just continue on. Next stop is Hope after this, and maybe the Othello tunnels. We'll see how our time is going. Anyways, hope you're enjoying the ride so far. Well, here we are inside the Abbey, Westminster Abbey, out in Mission. It's open between 1:30 and 4:30 during the week, so if you're a little early, you might have to wait a little bit. Anyways, here's some views for you. Well, we're at Othello tunnels, just checking it out. A few years ago many of them were washed out by a flood, so they've been repaired, or at least 3 of them have, so I'm curious what they look like. It is certainly pretty busy out here. Lots of tourists. I'm going to walk in and I'll show you the images when I get them. have the Othello tunnels. Actually, you can take a bike route all the way from Kelowna and Ticton and the Kettle Valley Railroad all the way down to here. You must have a cut though, you can't get all the way through like you used to before, but you can get most of the way. Well, tonight we're going to stay at Emory Creek Provincial Campground. Campfire ban in effect, but I wouldn't be starting a fire anyways. Rates are $21 per night. I got a nice site right next to the river. You can't really swim in it, but it's a nice view. There is a railroad track close by this campsite. You have to drive over it to get in actually, but at least where I am, it doesn't seem to be a bother at all. I'm just gonna be here a night, but so far so good.